Why is Latin America growing so strongly in clean energy? I guess the primary reason is demand. So we've got a region of 600 million people who have very low electricity usage. So if you were to compare, say, a person from USA with a Mexican American, an American would use 6 times what a Mexican uses in electricity and 12 times what a Colombian uses. So overall, Latin America needs to grow its electricity grids by nearly 100% over the next 20 years. So that's a huge amount of growth and infrastructure that needs to be built out. So what's happening with clean energy technologies? So the technology is following its adaptation curve or its experience curve. So generally technologies come down. So the more technologies get taken up, the economies of scale drive those costs down. So for solar in the last 10 years, we've seen costs come down by 80%, and wind is probably down nearly 60% over the same period. So tremendous revolution, I guess, in energy economics, and it's not stopping there. So solar, people are looking at another 50% to come down over the next sort of 5 to 10 years. So already in regions of Latin America, in great areas where you've got the Sonora Desert, Mexico, or the Atacama Desert, solar electricity is by far the cheapest source of electrons anywhere. The other important technology piece in the energy mix in Latin America is hydropower. So courtesy of the Andes, Latin America has tremendous hydropower resources, and it needs to start developing alternative resources, because there is the impact of El Nino and climate change, which is increasing the variability of hydropower. And also, as they build out and demand more electricity, they shouldn't just rely on hydropower. But that hydropower is a tremendous resource that complements renewables. So they go very well together. During a dry season, where typically you don't obviously have a lot of hydropower, it's often quite windy and quite sunny. So you've got wind and solar. You've also got opportunities to add pumped hydro into hydro facilities. So where you've got variability, for example, during the noon period, you've got lots of solar hitting the grid. Some of that could be used to pump water back up a hill in an existing facility. So hydro and renewables goes very well together, and renewables is very, very cheap in Latin America. So what is the future for the electricity grid in Latin America? I guess we're really talking about the designing of a new power system. So the old rules of baseload power and flexible power to meet peak demand is changing. Because of the revolution in energy economics and renewables, we need to build a flexible system. So a system which is built upon low-cost, base-cost renewables. So you soak up as much renewables as possible, and then you look at creating a system which is flexible. How do you create a flexible system? Well, I've already mentioned, I think, hydropower, but equally there are demand response services where people can get paid for reducing their energy demand. If you're an industrial user, it can often be advantageous financially to marry your energy demand to what the grid's producing. Equally, we're seeing dramatic costs coming down in lithium, so we're seeing energy storage, energy batteries can provide a vital piece to mix that flexibility. But overall, we're seeing a new energy grid which will be built upon multiple players, so a whole array of decentralized power producers matching their energy going into a grid with multiple people demanding electricity. And the introduction of internet and the energy internet, or the internet, with mechanisms such as blockchain payment systems, which will allow people to receive money for energy that they sell into the grid, and likewise people to pay for energy they produce. Overall, the impact of this is to reduce the entire cost of the system. So we're talking about producing energy infrastructure that is at a lot lower cost, so people will be paying a lot less for their electricity.